thing.
Oh,
Oh, now it's on. Now it's on. Hey, Internet!
Hello.
Hi.
We're some friends who are going to talk about the game Gone Home. We all like games. Some of us make games, and we're going to talk about it. Should we introduce each person ourselves? Left to right? Or I'm Natalie.
I'm Blaine. Hello.
I'm Nick Wasilewski.
Oh, last name?
Well, I mean,
Oh, good point.
I'm
Yep.
Jen.
I'm Greg.
I'm Alex.
I'm the other Nick.
That's us.
Hi.
So we all decided to play Gone Home. Some of us played it together, and now we're going to talk about the game. So Nick suggested that we talk about, did we like the game? I liked the game. It was different. Who else liked the game?
Yes. Greg enjoyed the game.
I enjoyed it.
Does anyone not enjoy the game?
I didn't enjoy the game that very much.
Yeah, I mean, I enjoyed the fact that it was something different. It wasn't shooting, but I also missed that I didn't have anything to do, like shoot.
Well, I mean,
Something.
even then, I think it tells a story well from a technical standpoint. You could say, just from conveying the information of a story.
There was a story that was told.
Yeah, and you got it. It's just maybe not a story that you'd want.
There's also a story told in an encyclopedia, which I don't enjoy reading.
That's not a
But this
story.
is like an encyclopedia with the pages scattered all over the place.
Maybe we can talk about that a little bit more when we start talking about the gameplay or lack thereof, whether it's a game or not, and what is a game. So let's just start with Greg's talking points about maybe the art direction and the details of the game and the realism and where things are placed. Greg, do you want to talk a little bit about that since it's your talking point? Oh,
That
Alex,
is Alex's
go ahead,
talking
Alex.
What? Talk about how you like the details and whatnot.
Oh, okay. So I thought, well, we were just interesting how your desire to kind of explore kind of came naturally because you can interact with so many items. I mean, and obviously, you know, a lot of the things you can interact with, you can't really do anything useful with it, but you could. So it lends you to want to poke, you know, go explore all the nooks and crannies for tidbits of information. And I like giving kind of the impetus, or like the onus of exploring is on the player. I mean, I know you have to, like, eventually you see that there are some locked areas, so you realize you have to try to get access to them. But for the most part, a lot of the things that you start discovering in notes, you might just be interested in checking out on your own. So I thought the attention to detail was really interesting. And, you know, in talking with Greg and Jen, I found out that there were some things that they noticed that I didn't notice, and then some things that I noticed that they didn't stumble across. One of the examples was they found the crucifix in one of the secret passages. And then I talked about one of the safes that I opened up and they didn't know about, that you could open it. And so I think
The one with the drugs?
yeah,
Is that the one you're referring to? Okay.
yeah, in the basement. And so like that kind of level of, you know, it's not necessary, but it makes the world feel really real. Like there are just these aspects that are just kind of there, and if you feel the need to go explore it, you can. I thought that was kind of interesting. But a thing that Greg brought up, and I guess you can start talking about this, is how some of the stuff that you end up finding in the story, the placement of a lot of the notes, some of it makes sense from that it was like a level design decision, and it doesn't actually really make sense in the context of the story, where it's like, why would this note be placed in this location? And do you want to take that one?
Yeah, before you talk about that, I think they did a pretty good job of bringing back, as far as like art direction goes, bringing back some nostalgia for the time period. Just the detail they took in, like making the Lisa Frank binder, or I don't know, having highlighters and pencil I mean,
Highlighters are 90s.
just very well, just like scattered everywhere. I just thought it was cool that they had, let's say, you picked up like a box of cereal or something, and there's nutrition facts, or they had a lot of detail in those things. So because the game is about like picking up items and exploring the different items, even just having the nutrition facts to look at if you want them, or if you want to look at them, is pretty nifty.
But the Super Nintendo connectors were actually incorrect in the room. So I don't know. That kind of brought me really out of the story, and I couldn't concentrate after that.
There was something weird about the whole, like, the house really felt like it was lived in to a certain extent. Like, it had things that a house would have, and very detailed, like colored pencils and all that stuff. But it also, that fact made it a little weird when, like, no one was there and the TV was on and other things were on. It made you wonder why no one was there, and I feel like that wasn't addressed, so it just stood out as weird the entire time.
Yeah, that ties into what Alex was trying to get me to say with all the notes scattered in strange places from like months and months and months ago across the house.
And just really private things being written down.
Huh?
It's like, well, I'm just going to leave this on the very top of this trash can.
Yeah, it's a good thing that everyone put all their emotions onto paper and left them around the house.
It's the 90s. They couldn't just like go on YouTube and broadcast things or tweet. They had to write journal entries.
So that actually just reminded me what you mentioned, and I don't know if we want to get into this now, but we were discussing about like how when you'd find things, you'd end up hearing the segment from Sam's journal. So then we started wondering if maybe the actual progression through the house was a recollection because she's reading through the journal, and as she stumbled across things, she was like remembering something about the journal. So maybe the game isn't per se like you going through the house isn't actually you going through the house. It's you remembering going through the house, and as you're exploring the house in a memory, you're also remembering kind of all the things that led up to that instance. So maybe what we're actually playing isn't a literal person going to the house and figuring out what happened, but it's like recalling that night, but also all the elements that kind of led to that night happening. Because she's had time to read because it ends with her reading a journal and there's a narration over, so maybe it's more of a it's like a memory. It's almost like a dream.
Maybe it's a dream.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
To that point, I think I would have enjoyed it a lot more if we were Sam instead of Katie, going back to our childhood home after our parents had died to find our memories. It would have made more sense for the audio log situation.
Yeah, the setup of the narrative felt like an excuse for walking around your house without anybody there. The dream itself would have been sufficient for that, I think. Instead, we get this, like, why didn't anyone leave a note? Why is Sam's note on the door the last
Well, she
one
said
we
that she
see?
came home suddenly. She came home without really telling anyone that she was coming home from her trip.
Those are all narrative like hooks to get you like confused, like as if you were part of the family, like to get you drawn into the game in the very beginning, like all the things that don't make sense. Like,
well, I know you want to get into the horror thing later, but that whole idea kind of adds to that feeling.
That's kind of something that I was when I was writing my thoughts down that kind of occurred to me was you start off and I started off expecting it to be kind of a spooky experience or a spooky game. I didn't really know that much about it, and it sort of sets itself up that way. And you go in and there's a crack of thunder, and I really enjoyed that first half of the game where it was all these little subtle spooky things that are the sorts of things that I like. And then by the second half of the game, you're starting to realize that all those things are really benign, and this isn't really a game about spooky stuff. It's a game about learning about these people and caring about what happened to them, and that's your sort of drive through the second half is not like, ooh, mystery, spooky. It's, what happened to these people. I want to find out where everybody is and how things turned out for them. And I don't think that's something that you could have gotten from the first half of from the player in the first half of the game just by saying like, hey, there's a middle class family, don't you want to know more about them? Like, not really. You need something to draw the player in, get them invested in the characters first before you just totally hand it off to trying to find more about them.
Every time I found a bat or a knife, I'd hold on to it for a little while because
Or a fork.
you don't know what's in the next door. You have no idea. Anything.
Well, that kind of goes along with the fact that what Alex was saying about how you can pick up objects but you can't really interact with them. I remember, Nick, that you were at one point assembling objects in the hallway in case we needed them. Yeah, supplies.
Supplies. Towels, boxes of cereal.
Right, just anything you could find in case we needed them later.
Yeah. Seemed like good things. That only appeared once.
It was going to be for the finale when you have to escape from the house.
Yeah.
Exactly. The house collapses and you have to. Yeah.
Surprise! It's actually an instance of betrayal.
Which room did I find the ring in?
We Jen and I when we picked up the crucifix, we didn't really know what to do with it or carrying it around, so we decided to throw it in the secret panel with the Ouija board and then cover the panel.
You decided.
Oh, excuse me, I did. I was in control.
Did everybody's light bulb explode?
Yes.
That was the best part of the game.
Yeah,
I agree with
was a
that.
hard point.
That was great.
Got me. Good.
That was the very peak.
Yeah, we were definitely sneaking around.
Why don't you stick to your talking points anyway?
Looking all around at all times, just in case something creepy happened.
I was putting off going into dark rooms.
Oh, yeah.
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 We tried to get Alex to do it for us.
Yeah, but he wasn't there.
When we went down the hallway of the room where the TV had the light glowing through the doorway and we heard some noise, we immediately turned around and came back to it later.
Yeah, and I love that you go down there and it's just, party lights or whatever. It's something like totally fun. It's a dark room, but when you see it, you turn. You're like, nope, that's a red glowing hallway.
I tried to get stand as far away as I could from that note and zoom in to read it.
So kind of on the subject of there's lots of stuff, but you can't do anything with it, and it's kind of a game of not very much consequence, and I really enjoyed like looking at all this stuff and trying to deduce, oh, does she really have an affair, or oh no, it looks like she's trying to work things out, the mom character, and things like that. I liked deducing, but I wanted my deductions to sort of have consequence and lead me to action or choices or something. So I was just thinking it kind of was like a taste of the kind of game that I want to play, but not quite.
Yeah, in terms of like behavioral reinforcement that the game is giving you, or encouragement, you pretty much just find keys and then you get to the end, and you don't need to demonstrate any understanding of what the characters in the game are doing or went through or anything.
Right. There's a few parts where it's oh, I read a map and now the map tells me what to go do, but yeah, like you said, it doesn't have anything to do with the characters, with things you actually are learning from the story.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe even a quiz. That would be weird.
No, yeah. When I first heard about the game, and I was just like, "How are you gonna prove that you figured out what happened?" And I really didn't know what to expect. I was like, "Are you gonna?" Yeah, I thought maybe is there a quiz, or you have to type in a story of what you think happened, and then it's just revealed to you.
Yeah, they should have had
not really a
go ahead.
Go and win type of game, right? It's sort of just like the whole experience of the game is the game. So there's no, there's no end goal other than satisfaction. If you are even if you're curious, you might not be curious at all, and then
well, on that point of story satisfaction, I suppose, the whole attic thing was, I don't know, was that a shock to anybody? I thought it was pretty apparent that your sister had run away with her girlfriend after the first note that you pick up.
I thought it might have been a double suicide. I was expecting to find them dead up in the attic.
Oh, that's another good moment. The red dye in the bathtub.
Oh, yeah.
Because you see the red, you're like, what happened here? And it immediately says, oh, that's where I dyed my hair red.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think at that point, all the the fangs of the game might have been.
No, yeah, I
gone
definitely
for me.
think that told you like this is not a scary game. Now you know.
Yeah, we're just pulling your chain.
Yeah.
A lot of this scary stuff.
Well, we were still scared.
Don't tell anyone what you find there, is what she said, and it's like, if they're corpses, I'm gonna have to tell someone what I found there. I can't just go, oh well, we'll just leave that.
What a snitch.
Yeah, I was definitely worried up until the end because just their whole situation, and just Sam and Lonnie. There are a couple of different roads that could be taken there, and I think, just thinking about society and even especially in the 90s, maybe how suicide might have been an option for them. I was kind of on my toes, or at the edge of my seat, rather. Even at the end, even after we found the pentagram summoning uncle chamber, I was still like, there's still maybe they're just trying to draw my attention away from the fact that they may be up there hanging or something.
I didn't really consider that at all, but it's definitely like thinking of how you must have experienced the game. That's definitely like interesting. I think maybe like even though it was spooky at first or had a spooky feel, maybe if it had felt a little bit darker overall, that might have been a conclusion that I might have considered while I was playing. Because I think it sort of had a hopeful feel, maybe just because like most of it was, oh, these characters are all kind of going through something bad, so I'm assuming it's going to turn out good, things are going to progress and rectify themselves somehow. But
I guess my problem is I thought I was solving a mystery because it was set up that way, No, don't ask what happened, whatever. And then when I felt like there was always more coming, like, all right, sister's gay, loves her friend, mom's having an affair, dad sucks at his job. Is that it? Like, that's not a good enough mystery. And I hate to say it because I want to like low stakes things. Like, I think those
Someone
are interesting.
shouldn't have to die to make it interesting.
Right. But this didn't do it enough, I feel.
I felt like going through the game, I wanted to learn as much as I could about each person and their situation, so I was satisfied. Although I understand where you're coming from.
They tricked you into enjoying a story by disguising it as a mystery.
Well, it wasn't enough information about
I felt like we had figured it out in the first.
There was additional. You didn't mention it, so I don't know if you figured it out or whatever. But there was additional information about the uncle and the dad that is discussed like online on forums and things.
Yeah, I had read that. I hadn't picked up on that at all, personally. I thought the heroin was weird in the safe, but whatever.
He was a dentist. What was it?
He was like a store owner?
He was a pharmacist.
Yeah.
That was a little interesting, that section in the basement where you looked at the height to figure out the... or it was a date or something that ended up being the combination. I thought that was kind of cool, but the combination was a little too easy to deduce.
I actually found the combination for that safe. It was upstairs in what was to be Katie's room, the guest bedroom. It's on the floor from where the secret door opens.
Oh, well, we didn't find it. I just guessed.
There's a
That's okay.
We just guessed.
I didn't find it at all.
You can see it. We recorded it and uploaded it to YouTube, our playthrough. And you can see I just looked at the date and was like, oh, it's this.
I think I was like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah,
Why would it be
that's
easy?
exactly what happened.
Stupid. But just so we're all clear, it was the uncle molested your father? Is that it?
Whoa. What?
And people are thinking that that's why he's like, that was on a certain date, and that's what his books are all about. That date, like if you go back in time and change that date or something.
Interesting. It was on the day Kennedy was shot, or whatever.
In the year. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And the uncle's letter to the uncle's sister, was it? Was describing like his transgression or something, and he was like he couldn't like think about it or whatever, and that's when he like closed his shop and he just stayed at his house without leaving forever.
And then Nick picked up that the last book that the guy writes, the dad, is about going back in time to save himself or whatever. Save the main character saves himself. So I got a connection.
And no one likes his book, so that would be interesting impetus for him to kill himself. No, I mean, if he had.
I guess if we were good readers and had read that, yeah.
You deduced the molestation. I didn't.
No, I didn't. I didn't deduce anything. I read this online.
Did you cheat?
No, I cheated. This was after we played the game.
Oh,
I was like, I have no idea. I didn't say anything about molestation during the actual playthrough.
I'm pretty sure you did.
No, it was close. It was not.
I've got video evidence.
I mean, there was heroin in the safe, but again, I don't know what that means. That could mean anything.
I thought he was a
Why is the
Vietnam
heroin
vet.
there? Why is the date? Why is the thing that date? Why did he get taller on that date? I don't know. He did get taller on that date. I don't know. I don't know. I wasn't able to pick up on any of that.
Was
I
it
feel
Christmas or Thanksgiving?
So I'm with Nick too. Like I didn't figure any of that out during the game. I read it online afterwards. But even then, it was like people's theories that played the game more than once, or like really tried to investigate everything and think about it.
You can get the text file to all the script online.
The percentage of people who even think about that sort of thing is probably really low.
So that's a question on our talking points: is does the game really have any replay value? So for some people, it sounds like it does. And maybe it depends on how much you missed the first time around, or maybe you heard, oh, there's something more, oh, you can open the safe, etc. But as soon as we finished, I kind of felt like it didn't really have much replay value, or was it worth the price of the game to me? I'm not sure if it was.
Yeah, price.
I had a good time hanging out with Nick and playing it.
It was fun to. I had fun while playing it.
Yeah. But I should give Nick $18 and not them.
18.
It was on sale in like the first week or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also had fun playing with Nick. But I wrote that in my write-up, is that I think I wouldn't have had as much fun playing by myself because I like to go too fast through games, and this isn't a game. Like, the only thing to do in this game is to go slowly and look at all the stuff there is, and I don't usually like to do that. And then the sort of figuring things out felt a lot more natural and effective with the two of us, and he saw, like, oh, there's a secret panel, and I saw, like, oh, there's a note, and things we might have missed by ourselves.
I feel like
me and Greg, we played off of each other a lot, and then, I mean, I'm terrible with directions, so looking at those maps, like, that meant nothing to me. Like, I would have never been able to find those secret passages, but he knew exactly, like, where we needed to backtrack to and whatnot, and then we just played off of each other's fears and, like, turn that music off, or, like, oh my god, where's the light switch, and just freaked each other out, so it was definitely more fun than playing with each other.
Talking about the story, too, or just trying to figure out exactly what happened to everybody. I mean, as we found clues, we tossed our theories back and forth, so that was nice.
And I feel like there's some value, like, there's something to be said for the value of, you know, couch co-op with a friend playing the game, because, I don't know, like I said, when Nick was just assembling things in the hallway, he was just goofing off, and he doesn't really do that in games.
But there's nothing else to do.
Goal-oriented. There's nothing else to do, and I think that's a tiny bit valuable.
Okay.
In that you could just have a little fun.
It was an experience of something that I normally don't do.
Yeah.
Alex, what was it like playing by itself?
It sounds like I missed out on a lot of fun, but
well, I don't. This game doesn't seem like something that they would have made with the intention of. It seems like something that they'd want you to play alone. If I were to guess, artist's intentions. But yeah.
I enjoyed it. I thought, actually, thinking about the way that the game is, I thought it was an interesting hybrid of, like, the game theory, like, because I've been kind of thinking about, like, there are a lot of, most blockbuster big games are the kind that are, like, on rails. It has an explicit story to tell you, and it doesn't really let you do much exploring. Like, everything is just, like, corridors, and and what was interesting is that the voiceover and story aspects of this, like, it had a very clear story one to tell you, and it's doing these voiceovers, but the actual, like, exploring seemed a little more free than what the games that I normally attribute to that, and it seemed a little more, I guess, I don't know. I mean, the way I was kind of guessing, and through my mind, I actually had a lot of different hypotheses about what was going to happen in the story while I played it. So that was kind of cool to me in the sense that the story kind of evolved, because the more I found out about how each person in the story had like was just like not having a good life, and the fact that it was kind of riding that whole like spooky house like theme to it. Then I was like, okay, so maybe I'm going to find the bodies because the dad snaps, or maybe I'm going to find the bodies because, like, the girl, Sam snapped, or something like that. Like, so, I don't know. I kind of had a bunch of theories, and that might have been because I was playing by myself. I didn't have anyone to bounce any ideas off while I played. So I was just kind of running wild because they had, I feel like they had a lot of directions they could have gone with. I mean, maybe that speaks to the fact that the characters that you're reading about in the story, in the game, are pretty well developed, I guess. Like, they actually have a pretty decent backstory, so.
I wanna talk about your idea of exploring. So to me, the game, it wasn't, like, my definition of exploring, I guess, has to do with, I don't know how to phrase it, I guess, like, linearity would be, like, not exploring, and then having the ability to, like, I'm not really formulating my thoughts really well, but I feel like the game wasn't really good at exploring because it was so linear in that you had to go in each room, and your entire point, the whole gameplay, the whole mechanic of the game is to just look at everything. So you're not really like making your own choice to explore like what the I don't know, like, can anyone help me? Like, does anyone see what I'm saying?
Yeah, you have to go. You have to go from place to place. There isn't linearity in that kind of sense, but there's also maybe exploratory sense in the how detailed you can get with it. Maybe.
I understand what you're saying, and I agree that this isn't like super open world or whatever, because at the end of the day, like, you're in a house. But like, I was surprised with how interested I was, and I guess this is just me like just exploring the environment and wanting to kind of figure out what was going on, and that I was like looking in every nook and cranny. And I'm also the kind of person that wants to just quickly go through a game, and I get really impatient when I have to like hear like voiceovers. So I was actually getting really impatient listening to the Sam voiceovers.
So you're trying to make the point that the what is normally exploring in this game was fun in a way that it made you want to explore. The game made you want to explore what was there to offer.
Yeah.
Okay.
And finding themes was pretty rewarding. And this is not my typical kind of game. So I thought that was interesting.
I think a lot of what Nick was also referring to, and something that's one of my talking points about the linearity of the game, is kind of on the same lines of, why is this piece of paper here in the middle of the floor or on the trash can or whatever, just for you to find, is the way that, sort of the path blocking of the whole east wing of the house is blocked off as soon as you start, and the attic and the basement and a few rooms, and it's sort of like, if I didn't really notice until after the game. Nick says he noticed right away, but just it's definitely setting you on this course of where to go through the house, and notes that only talk about this one topic on the left side of the house, and then notes that only talk about it from a different perspective on the right side of the house, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. And is that a very elegant storytelling method, or is it a little bit too heavy? Would it work again if you were kind of on the lookout for it and saying, oh, well, it appears she's having an affair on this side of the house, but I'm pretty sure when I get over there it's going to look like something else once I get more information, kind of a thing. Like, would it work a second time?
Was she not having an affair?
She was. She
I was on the verge.
I think she went to a concert.
I thought she was,
yeah.
but Rick, right? Rick had no intention, I think.
Yeah.
And you're Rick.
And then
Did we get notes from Rick? Was Rick leaving diary pages in the house too?
She
Maybe he had a
took a
phone message.
promotion and went to a
check.
different.
Yeah, go ahead.
After we finished, I told Jen that, you could basically have the game take place in a long hallway and leave all the notes and whatnot scattered throughout the hallway. And if you want to pick up every note and read everything, that's kind of your prerogative. But there still is that you go to point A to point B pretty much throughout the game. I mean, there are a few spots like I can choose which room I want to go into first, or which, like in the basement, there are a couple different paths. So
they did give you a little bit of a choice. Like you could find the hidden crucifix broken light room. You could find it from the top room, or you could find it later when you're coming back up. So it worked either way. But it was definitely that kind of a Silent Hill map clearing where it's like, all right, this door's locked, move on to this door, and you just kind of go.
Yeah, I think in the end, it's definitely because this is more of a game about it has a specific story that it wants to tell you, and that is the main goal of the game, not so much you having a unique experience in this world that they've crafted for you.
Yeah, I wasn't bothered by that at all, by the way.
Yeah, it didn't really bother me either. I just noticed it afterwards, then I saw people writing about it, and it's like, oh.
It does let you miss the story, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
You can potentially not.
Or keep going.
Yeah, you can,
while listening
you
to
can
the
just
story.
you can just ignore the audio logs. And move on. Not saying I did that. I don't do that because that's.
You got to play the game.
Yeah, you're not. If you just walk past it, you're not playing the game.
So can you go upstairs like when you first enter the house?
Yeah, actually, that's what we did, and I wish we had gone downstairs.
Yeah, we did get an audio log out of order, and they let you do
know from Resident Evil 1 that you go to the left side of the house first?
that. Well, that was the scary. That was another scary hallway.
Man, I played too many haunted mansions.
Besides, Sam's room was probably the most interesting place.
Sure.
Other than the devil room.
Not interesting. That had nothing in it.
An event happened there. A light bulb broke.
See, okay, so when on the note they're like, "Here's where we'll do it," I thought they meant a whole different thing when they said it. I was like, "Oh, maybe I don't want to go there right now." Is that?
Yeah.
Don't want to interrupt.
Yeah.
I agree. I kind of thought the same thing actually. I had no idea it had to do with Oscar.
Yeah.
They were.
To the
It
game's
was already
credit-
clear that they're doing it was going to be on the parents' bed.
To the game's credit, the couple, Sam and Lonnie, were adorable.
I suppose, but I don't know. You can't build a. You shouldn't. I would say you shouldn't build a plot on top of that. As your plot, like, you can have a romance, but
something needs to happen.
Because we figured that out like 5 seconds in, it's like, oh well.
I think that was a unique experience for you. Maybe it was a while. I mean, well, because you don't get introduced to her character for a while. I don't know. I feel like.
Yeah, you just.
Maybe we watched a lot of lesbian media.
It's because we went up. It's because we went upstairs, and she's like gushing about this girl, and I'm like, I guess she ran away with her girlfriend.
Yeah,
What
I
else
was
am I
at that point. I was like, where are all the VCRs?
Where did it all go? Where's the Super Nintendo?
I the sold
games
them
are
all
there.
for
Why
road
would you steal the
cash.
Super Nintendo but not the game?
Yeah.
Oh,
see?
nice, yeah.
Here I was.
Street Fighter was gone though. That made story sense.
Here's a question. As men, did we jump the gun in thinking that they were together? Because she just said she thought the other girl was really cool.
I think you're supposed to not think that though.
I
I
don't
feel
know.
like it's society, not assuming,
I don't know.
assuming that they're heterosexual. What's wrong
I just
with
think when you think someone's really cool in high school, you have a crush on them.
I thought it pretty early on, honestly, because she was, I don't know, she was going through her phases of being a teenager, and so I was like, this is probably maybe this is what's happening. So.
I don't think the point of the game is to figure out that they're gonna be together and run away. It's to experience how they handled it and how their parents handled it and what a year's worth of these things happening might look like over time.
Yeah,
And
but
see that unfold.
the story is framed in the sense of finding out what happened to your sister. Like that is your initial motivator. There's a note on the door saying, "Don't come looking for me." That's like.
What kind of note is that?
That's yeah. You're better off just not writing a note, and then no one's gonna come.
Running away with Lonnie
Logic.
later. L8R.
Yeah.
Well, no. I don't know. They didn't really have IMs. Would they do that?
Oh. Yeah.
Or did they have IM? I don't remember. What time was anything? No, I mean, I agree with you. I don't think it was like, oh, this is a big secret. But it was the central conflict, at least to start with. And I feel like it tipped its hand way too early.
Well, here's something that we said when we were talking about it, is that if this was a short story or a novel, it wouldn't have enough things going on in it. But since it's a game, it gets a little bit of a pass because you're exploring and experiencing it, but it's still very low level. Like, there's like a few very minor events, and you find out about those, and that's it.
Well, to be fair, it was also a really short game. It'd make a
Sure.
short book. It was a short game, too.
If they had played it closer to the chest, if they hadn't let you know that Lonnie was
Do you
Sam's
think-
girlfriend, and they had you physically develop the photos in the attic, I think I would have been totally on board.
Do you think
Like
the
you just
experience would have been
described.
different for you two if the note on the front door didn't say like "we ran away, don't ask" or something? If it said like, no, I don't know what it said, but if it said like "I met this girl, we ran away together," like if it said that, do you think the experience of the game would have been different for you?
I would have wondered what I was doing, what I was supposed to do.
Yeah, we would have spent an hour and a half discovering nothing extra.
Can I like go to the
Like we
bed?
did.
That's what
I
I'm
guess
saying.
the point is, a story... Go ahead.
You're discovering nothing for an hour and a half. When I'm saying I think their goal, or I think one of the goals that can be said is that people really enjoy, or there's a lot that can be said about the experiences that were occurring over the year. So you would experience those feelings over the year. Like you're making a big point about this mystery, this one question, one answer mystery that I don't think is half the game.
Well, a story is generally, like, I think a rule is it's supposed to be the most important point in their life, right? You kill off your characters at the end of a story. That's a rule.
Suppose so.
And because you kill off a character, that, like, you have to see them fully develop.
Isn't
And
Romeo and Juliet like dramatic irony, and don't you know that like they die at the end or something?
yeah, I mean, it's just how tragedies work, I guess.
If it's billed as a tragedy, you know they're dying.
Yeah, but you get to explore their lives, and I guess the point you're making is that they do explore their lives in the story, and I don't think that there was enough to explore.
Well, I think I see where Nick's coming from, because, and I don't know necessarily there might be much to explore. I think it's interesting to have insight into, I mean, these are teenagers that are, question mark in love, because also when you're a teen, God knows what else is going through your head. So, like, even if it is relatively superficial and it's like, oh, there's a girl that I'm interested in high school or whatever, just going on that journey of, like, I mean, you're watching her develop and realizing her sexual identity and going through difficulty and finding acceptance with her family and difficulty at school, and just like that experience of, I guess, hearing about that. And granted, I guess it's hearing about that as a sister coming back from, not being in the situation, getting it all in like one dose all at once because she got the journal. I mean, I think that was more, it's not the reveal that she's a lesbian, but it's the fact that you're kind of seeing what she's been through and what led her to that note that you get right at the beginning saying, "Don't follow me."
Then I guess, where's the tension, or is there any?
I think it is that tension that you said at the beginning, the mystery of what happened to all the people in this house. And
And the answer is nothing.
well,
They're not hit home right now.
Well,
So that's the biggest problem, is what I'm saying.
It says it on the TV. There's
Yeah.
a storm.
There's a storm.
I don't think the common experience is to figure out she ran away with her lover like the first moment you walk in or whatever, or as early as you guys did. I think that's an uncommon experience.
Well, as I said, my tension was as these facts were being revealed about her and Lonnie. Will I find her dead?
Yeah. Do you feel like you cheated, that you didn't find them dead, or that was never even up for grabs?
No.
They didn't almost die and escape death. They just it was never an issue.
No, I didn't feel like I was cheated. I could see, I guess, where people might, but
Do you hear that?
Sounds like Minecraft. That's what it sounds like.
Is someone playing Minecraft?
there was a police siren.
I'm sure that sounds like
Anyway.
or something.
We're good. We're fine.
We're fine.
Speaking of sounds, Greg, do you want to talk about the sound of the game a little bit?
Actually, before we talk about the sound, one thing that we had talked about was the perspective of or Katie as the character, as like Katie is you, and your reactions to all the events that are happening, and you going through and formulating all of these different hypotheses and revealing the truths of what happened. It's all filtered through you. You don't get any internal dialogue from Katie. You don't. Jen mentioned that like she doesn't. If you're running around the house, she's never like breathing heavy. She's never scared at any point. So all of the emotions.
Quick interjection. You get
Sure.
a little bit when you hover over items.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I remember that.
What's that?
Like, it's like her thought. Like, oh,
Like when you see the stuffed animal and she's like, what's the name of the stuffed animal again?
Oh, yeah.
She has some thoughts. But I agree with you, like, they even sort of made you this sort of everyman character and able to project yourself onto the character by, like, completely removing your identity from the house by having them just have moved into the house. So it's not like, oh, I'm already familiar with all this stuff because I'm Katie, I'm part of this family. It's like you don't even have a presence in this family at all, pretty much. You've been gone away for a year, they live in a new house, all your stuff is in boxes. You are just a blank slate as far as you, the player, is concerned. I thought that was...
The
I
game
didn't think
actually
about it just
answered
now.
a lot of my, I'll call them quizzical looks. Like, I opened up the map and I'm like, why do I need a map for my own house? And then I was like, oh, we're just doing that. There was the weird plaque at the bottom of the family portrait, and I was like, why does this look so terrible? And then they like explained that later, and I'm like, oh, okay, well.
That Sam made it or something?
Yeah. And I was like,
oh yeah.
and those, I like those things. I like it when I'm like, man, that's dumb. Oh, my bad. That's I jumped the gun on that. I'll admit it. It's like they know what I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was going to say, we were talking about maybe that's partially why there were no mirrors in the house, like to keep Katie out of the gameplay, and so you
Such
never
weird
get
bathrooms,
that
though.
feeling that you're playing someone else, it's just you there.
Yeah, they really should have had mirrors in paper, like new mirrors, right next to where they should be in the bathroom, so that you're like, all right, they just haven't put it in yet. That would have been another thing. That could have.
Yeah, we first noticed the mirror thing when she was talking about dyeing the hair because they were standing in the mirror together and it's like, oh, you look so good.
And we're
And-
just like, where is
Yeah,
the mirror?
I don't think we missed a beat. We were just like, man, graphics are hard.
Yeah. I sure don't like doing reflections. Okay.
On Katie as a character, I projected a little bit onto her from the rest of the characters, and that is everyone's story had a little bit to do with sex, right? I mean, this makes even more sense now that we know that the father was molested. The mother was, having an affair, and I mean, I don't want to say sex for Sam and Lonnie because it's love, but same kind of romantic thing.
Well, I wouldn't call molestation romantic either. So.
Okay, look, you get what I'm saying.
Putting you in an awkward position.
So I just kind of assumed that that Katie had gone to Europe to get laid, and that was her deal.
Isn't that why everyone travels?
Yeah.
Well, if you're gonna go somewhere to do it, I guess you're.
Absolutely.
And she gave herself plenty of time.
It's a tough thing narratively to give the character that you're supposed to represent a history with characters that you're running into. Because you as the player, you have no knowledge of your parents. You don't know if they were like in an apparently happy marriage or whatever. There's no illusion that's being shattered for you.
Well,
It's just
I feel like they did a good job with that. There was like here's a happy picture, family portrait. This is what you're supposed to think.
Everyone has a happy
I'm just
family
saying,
portrait.
they did that, and then it was like you're exploring the house, and there's nothing that you can interact with wrong, like not in
There's
your
nothing
character.
you can interact with.
Right, that's what I mean.
Literally, the only thing you can do with stuff you pick up in that game, you can look at it, or you can put cassette tapes in cassette players. I don't think you can do anything else. Did anyone? Can you like set stuff on a pressure plate? Or I don't even know what
You
you
can't
do.
microwave things.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
all
we tried that too.
Wait,
Yep.
You can? I thought-
Open locks.
No, she said can't.
Oh yeah, you can't.
Yeah, we tried to throw
Turn
so many
lights
things
on.
on the microwave.
Yeah.
We got it in there, didn't we?
Yeah, it got in there.
We couldn't turn
You
it on.
can flush toilets.
Oh, flush toilets,
I
yeah.
think we.
And turn on faucets.
I don't think so.
You couldn't turn off faucets.
When I was first turning on the faucets and stuff, I was looking for signs of maybe some dirt in the water or blood, demon blood.
This
You
might
can
be a
turn
good
on-
time
You can
to
turn on
mention. Go ahead.
the light bulbs in the
Yeah.
house.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I mean lights. Okay, actually, that was my motivation for playing the game. Now that I remember it,
Lighting
it was
up all the
turning on
rooms.
all the lights because it's too scary.
Too scary. Too spooky.
Did not leave the water running because that's just environmentally irresponsible.
Yeah,
So
we
Turn it
turned
back
on the
Turn it
water.
off. Turn it off.
We turned on the water, turned around to leave, and then we were like, I
it
can't
feels-
do it.
It feels bad.
Yeah, we both individually did that separate times.
Can we discuss how unsafe that stairway down into the basement is? Like, every time you go to the basement, you have the risk of dying. Like, it's so dark.
So when Nick and I played, we made a terrible mistake very early in the game that colored like almost the entire rest of the game until we finally fixed it, and that was we misremembered the date on our boarding pass, and we thought that we were there like a month after what the current date was. So the whole time we're like, oh my god, these people have been gone for like a month. This milk is like expired from, where have they been? What's going on here? So we started having like all these time travel theories and everything else.
Time travel theories.
Made things a lot spookier and more mysterious than they actually were, which was kind of fun. But
I'll
Wrong.
admit that I didn't really think about the date. Like, I saw cassette tapes. Okay, this is old, and that's about the general date range that I put on.
now the
game.
whole time we were playing, every time we found a date, we said,
Yeah.
okay, this is the latest date we found. Okay, October. Okay, we found something for December. All right, and trying to figure
That's
out
cool.
when's the last sign of life in this house.
That's cool. And if this was Ace Attorney, I would have been doing the exact same thing. But it didn't make me want to do that.
We're not going to trial at the end of the
That's why I thought it was weird finding crumpled up pieces of paper from last February, or a year ago in the hallway. Not in the wastebasket, by the way. Crumpled up right
Just
next to
there.
Stanley
Under the
Blue.
couch.
House is otherwise clean, but we don't touch that piece.
I
of
was
paper.
thinking maybe
That's a fix.
when
It's a
they
low-bearing piece of
ran
paper.
away. When they ran away and grabbed all the VCRs and sold, they also just rummaged through everything in the house looking for something.
They sold the VCRs.
Did they steal the VCRs to sell
That's
them?
my theory. Yeah.
That's a good theory.
Because with the VCR it was like $1,000.
Yeah. But they took the Super Nintendo cables because.
And doesn't she say like, sorry about all the missing stuff in her note?
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's what it is.
I thought that was just the Super Nintendo.
Sorry about my thing that I took from my room.
Yeah, my own stuff. My bad. But not the dinosaur pillow?
We needed that for comfort.
She didn't take her dinosaur pillow.
Did we talk about? Did Greg want to talk about music? Did we do that?
Yeah, as far as sound goes, the only thing that really stood out to me that I thought was cool were the tapes. The tapes were really neat. I thought that they put a lot of thought into making that garage band, 90s garage band punk sound. I don't know exactly what kind of band that I was thinking they're almost exactly like, but they're probably.
I think that was licensed music, Greg.
Was it?
Oh, really?
It was
well.
Riot Girl with RRL, which
It
is a
looked
real
like
band.
a mixtape, but I don't know. I can't be certain.
I'm not sure, but Riot Girl was involved, and that is a band.
I swear that if you flipped around the
Cassette?
cassette.
Oh, the box?
What do you put a cassette in?
Case.
A cassette case. It had like a track list, I thought.
Yeah,
And then
Yeah.
in the little crevice, it was like, don't look here. And I thought that was.
Oh yeah, if you looked in the crevice, like you had to turn it really awkwardly to
I
see
was
inside.
doing
It
that.
said, "Don't
I
look
was-
here." That was good. I appreciate that.
So Riot Girl is also just a genre of music. That
What?
genre.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
My bad.
But
I just
it
know I
looks
had heard
like-
of that before.
I'm just looking at the Wikipedia page, and Heavens to Betsy, which is one of the tapes, that's a real band.
Okay.
And Bratmobile, and
I take back everything.
I believe it's cheap licensed music because it's not super popular, but I could be wrong.
Who knows?
I know
I'm
that people
not-
who
oh,
were
yeah.
part of that era were very excited and feeling nostalgic about these bands and this music. And
If I had listened to music in the '90s, maybe I would. No.
I was thinking that
Do you want to do?
I was looking for hints of the story in the tapes when I was playing. By the way, yeah, because they were angry. Thought they were probably writing songs about their lives, but I guess that wasn't actually the
I
case.
guess you don't know a damn thing about music.
I think you're getting heated in here.
Yeah.
And gotta do up.
So one interesting thing that happened with us and the tapes is that, and I was trying to listen to them, but I was experiencing the same thing Nick was that you have this music playing, and the rest of the game is you're trying to read stuff, and it's kind of hard to read stuff and focus on the reading when this music is playing
Yeah.
with
You know,
lyrics.
I
and
like
things
the
like
music, but Nick turned it off instantly. He was like, enough of that.
I don't know.
You thought it was creepy every time, so and
Yeah,
like
pretty much.
as we were playing the tapes, we were looking around for Demon Uncle to pop out.
Did
That's
they-
devil music,
You were.
obviously.
Okay, yeah, I was the one in control, so I was looking around for. Demon
Did anyone else experience plot-timed thunder?
Yeah. Well, the thing that I noticed, I wasn't sure if it was actually timed or not, but I thought that the thunder sound, was conveniently loud in places that I wasn't. Right, and the rain too, in places that I wouldn't think it would necessarily be that loud. I realize there's like a monsoon going on outside, but it was pretty much the same volume everywhere in the house.
I recall multiple times picking up advancing the plot, picking up an audio log, let's call it, a diary entry,
I don't remember.
whatever.
I think audio.
I remember
logs-
it going, just, thunder happening right
Oh,
then.
I noticed that a couple times too, so maybe it was purposeful. If we both.
Or maybe it's thundering all the time, and you only notice when you pick up a thing.
Yeah.
That's all I had to say about that.
Yeah.
I looked it up right before we started this, and some of the people that worked on this game also worked on BioShock. I thought that was pretty funny, because BioShock is just covered in audio logs, and I'm like, hey, if you just take out the shooting, it's what you got.
So this might be a good time
Better than
to
Bioshock.
move to the point that I really want to talk about,
It is better than BioShock.
which is the gaminess of it. How is it a game, etc. So this.
But ludological.
Yeah, exactly. Ludo narrative. Are the
There you go.
elements Ludo narrative or fixed narrative? So I haven't played Dear Esther, but I'm guessing this is probably the same sort of questions that people asked about Dear Esther. But you're giving a thumbs down. Do you give
can't be
this game
trusted.
a thumbs down too, for the same reasons?
Who? Are you talking to me?
Yes.
Yeah.
You're
Um,
copy-handed there, Blaine.
Sorry.
Natalie revealed it to the internet that you gave a thumbs down.
Dear Esther was kind of the same thing.
Wasn't it a randomly generated plot or something?
No,
Oh,
I don't think so. I only played it once.
Okay.
How would I know?
I don't know. I thought something. There was something like they just have a set of dialogue and they just put it in some order. And then,
You walk around and your character remembers things, but it's a bigger and less inhabited place. Like, it's an island with a few shacks and stuff in it, but it's like one thing to look at in each shack. And I don't know. The ending was better than this game, because you go into a little bit of a dream wrap up. I don't know. What do you want to say about it, Natalie?
So I just want to talk about how, this game obviously doesn't fit our traditional definition of what a video game is. What criteria does it meet and what criteria doesn't it meet? How how is it more? Is it more than just an immersive storytelling experience? And if we want to say it's an interactive storytelling experience, can you really reconcile that when the only way you can interact is just to pick up and observe something? Like, how is that really any different than just reading a book? Or maybe, like in Bioshock Infinite, you have like the kinetoscopes or whatever that you can watch a cutscene. It's just you're choosing what elements to experience and what elements to ignore. It's kind of weird.
Well, there's some environmental narrative in terms of just having a scene set up, and you definitely get something different out of, like, I don't know, a 3D modeled environment versus a book, just a linear book description.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you have an interactive element in your medium, in your piece, that's open to criticism. You're allowed to criticize that aspect. Does that seem fair? I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. If you're gonna make yourself look like a game, you're in some sense bound to. I don't know.
Right.
Maybe that's-
Right. I mean, it is marketed as a game as well. It doesn't just look like and play like a game. I'm assuming it's marketed like a game.
Yeah.
I can't really say that.
I mean, I play visual novels, which are really just like actually just blocks of text that you read
Mm-hmm.
in a row with some pictures. Pretty much a bad comic book, and I don't know. So I'm fine with those, I guess. Moving around seems like just a pain.
Stop me if you disagree here, but in video games, setting often acts as a character. Like, it characterizes the game a lot, and it has history, much more so than any other art media, I'd say.
I don't know. Whenever I see anything set in New York, people are like, the city's a character as well.
But I don't know. I've never experienced that in anything other than a game.
Let's see.
I think it's fine. Whatever. I mean, you play through it. It's fine. It could have been something that I really enjoyed,
Mm-hmm.
and I would have been, hey, that's a pretty good game.
It's interesting the way that there's only really one way to affect your own experience. Like in most games, your personal experience of playing through the game is affected by the choices you make and the actions that you take, and the narrative is sort of a separate thing that you experience along the way, or I guess in some games you drive your narrative path. But in this game, there's basically one path, like we said, from point A to point B. What you pick up along the way depends on what elements you interact with, and that is the gameplay. That's the mechanic of the game, is just observing these things, and that's the only real choice or consequence you have on your experience at all.
I would have liked less inanimate objects that don't mean anything. I mean, it did make it a little more real, but I mean, I feel like a few things would have given it a little more character and defined the game a little better.
I suppose, but if only important things are things that you can interact with, that almost gives it away.
Uh-huh.
Maybe that's not a problem. Maybe that's totally fine. But maybe that's also weird. Like,
Well,
if I can only pick up important stuff.
every time you pick up an item, you're learning something about the world. So maybe every item was important. I don't know. I think pens are
The
probably
number
not that
of
important.
rolls of toilet paper in that pack
Yeah.
is critical to understanding the character of.
It's not a major complaint. Just I don't know. I feel like the gnome means a little more in Half-Life.
But you
Like
can pick
all
up.
of the
What are you
items.
talking about? You can pick everything up in Half-Life.
That's a good point.
It's pretty much Half-Life.
Yeah. We could have just picked up the dinosaur pillow and been fine.
Brought it to the end, placed it in the rocket.
It should
and
be
got
marketed
it.
as the domestic Half-Life.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's the subtitle of the game, The Domestic Half-Life.
So Wikipedia, talking about ludonarrative elements. Ludonarrative elements are the elements of a video game storytelling that are controlled by the player. Fixed narrative elements, on the other hand, are those that are purely non-interactive, that are determined by the designers and told through traditionally things like cutscenes or other things. Can you put the elements of Gone Home into one or the other of those definitions? Ludonarrative.
They are not
cryptographic there. You
ludonarrative.
think
They're
so?
they're all fixed.
They're all
But you
fixed.
can ignore a lot of them.
But they're still fixed.
You find them through the gameplay of exploring.
But you
stuff,
don't-
picking stuff up. Picking stuff. Let's not say exploring. Picking stuff up in the house.
Maybe I have the definition wrong, but I feel like you're not creating the narrative yourself through those items. You know, you're listening to it. You read some things.
You're creating your own perception of the narrative that they have fixed.
So like the
Like,
the
if you
story
read a-
of Metal Gear Solid doesn't change based on how many people you kill, but
Right.
to me it definitely affects the story and my perception of that game.
If you pick up if you're gonna read a book, you can skip pages in the book. Like, I don't think that's interactive.
That's true, but we can clearly say that like that's wrong. Like that's not.
You
okay.
shouldn't skip pages in the book.
You're actually skipping pages. If you just don't notice or like you didn't pick up on in a previous note to check the third panel from the right, that's not you playing the game wrong. That's
I guess the secret panels are a little bit that.
that's your skill or performance as a gamer
Yeah, that makes
or
sense.
just reader not being able to create the stuff, create the narrative, build the narrative for yourself.
Natalie, do you feel like you should classify this as something other than a game?
I don't know that I feel that way.
Well,
I don't know what I would classify it as if it wasn't just an interactive story, but is it interactive? How do you define interactive?
I feel like
Am I doing it the
contemporary. I feel like contemporary definitions are if it's interactive, it's a game. Visual novels are games.
Hmm.
You know.
If you have to click
Yeah.
If you have to click continue on the DVD remote for each chapter,
Yeah.
it's a game.
I don't know. I don't like arguing for a long time about whether something is art or whether something is a game. It's a game. It might be a bad game. I'm not saying necessarily it is, but we can apply value without necessarily stripping it of
Right, right. It's just it's an interesting thing to observe that this might be a game that is completely made up of fixed narrative elements, which is you could say it's like a game that's nothing but cutscenes that you press X to watch, kind of a thing.
I think what you're trying to say by when you said bad is that the part of the medium that makes it a game, which is the interactiveness, might not be very robust. But it still uses those to handle how the story is conveyed. So
Right.
it's a game.
I mean, I don't want to say that it's not possible to enjoy this game by never finishing it. You know, maybe you can stack everything in the living room and make a castle, and it's fun.
It's pretty much Skyrim.
Yeah.
Endless content. You can just keep going forever.
I mean, yeah. Someone could have a different experience with it that is not intended, and that's something.
There's that video. It's a really short video, and it's like what I did when I played Gone Home, or what might actually happen in real life. And it's just like the person just opens the door, walks straight upstairs, goes in the bedroom, and falls asleep.
You can fall asleep. Oh man.
Can you sleep?
No.
No, you can't sleep.
Because we looked at the bed.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you totally wouldn't pay attention. You just got off a plane. That makes sense. That's probably the most, coherent narrative of Gone Home that I can imagine.
Greg, you guys had some glitches that were fun?
The microwave one was the main one.
Wait, what?
Not being able to throw stuff into the microwave because none of our stuff landed in the microwave. They all fell
Sorry,
out
we
of
got
the
something
bottom
in the
of the microwave.
microwave.
And then the safe. We were throwing bottles back into the safe, and Jen was like, "Hey, one disappeared." And then I walked away from the safe, and it was on.
How do I do this
It
now?
went through the wall of the safe. So it all had to do with throwing odd items come out the other side. Spooky.
I threw it probably through the wall.
Oh.
So there was a haunting. I see.
Yeah.
That's like
ghost
that's an
bottles.
Cards.
Ghost
That's
bottles.
really possible.
Why is this thumbnail so smooth?
That's it. Did anyone else find anything cool?
I'm really bad at finding glitches because if I find them, I turn away from them.
But we always try to ignore
I think it's
them.
rude to look at the glitch. Yeah. It's like we've all been there. It's not your fault.
That was added gameplay for me. She also didn't throw things very far. I was throwing things a lot.
Yeah, we tried to hit ourselves in the face by throwing it straight out, but it didn't work. You don't remember?
I think I took control too early. I should have passed the control back.
Did anyone else have any topics they wanted to discuss?
Yeah.
I'm good.
We're good.
Would you play another similar game like this in a different setting? Not
We
knowing
play
anything
all
about
games.
it?
I'd play one in the same setting. Just I don't know. I wish there had been a Hellgate. Like, that would have been pretty good. I mean, it doesn't have to go crazy. I don't know. Ultimately, it just comes down to I didn't find the story interesting. I think Sam's story was just like typical. I feel like I've heard that before many times. Maybe not in game form, but I don't think that should give it a bye. I don't know. Everything felt so typical.
I feel like it's a fine delivery mechanism for a story,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
the story should be better.
Yeah. I played
me.
the same game with a different story. Absolutely.
Cool.
And I have, I guess. Maybe not have.
I'd do it again. Yeah.
10
Me
out of
too.
10? Yeah.
Huh?
10 out of 10? Yeah.
I have confirmed you can in fact put something in the microwave.
Oh, no.
It's in our
Nice.
video. I'll
Sounds
link you
like you're
guys
bad at
to
video
it.
games.
I'm the worst video game player. Couldn't even throw
It does have
a simple
replay value.
food in the microwave.
It needed achievements.
Yeah.
I think that's ultimately my conclusion about Gone Home. Needed some achievements.
We went into the freezer, pulled some mixed veggies out, opened the microwave, and threw it in, and it landed. So.
It's because
Maybe
it was mixed
only the
veggies.
things-
It belonged in there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Game
yeah.
boy.
Maybe the things that only belong in the microwave can go in the microwave.
That was
Yeah, you were trying to put non-microwavable plastic. What are you doing?
Don't put metal in there. It'll explode.
It's a banana.
Oh.
That'll explode too. Are
Really?
you kidding me? Probably. It's
Well, the
sealed.
house is already messy enough. I may as well just
It's a good point.
blow it in the microwave.
We were really excited when we went in the kitchen. The kitchen was totally destroyed. We're like, what happened here?
Maybe if you were a maid
Renovation.
and you're cleaning up the house
Ooh.
and finding all their dirty secrets.
Oh.
Snooping maid.
Just a private investigator.
And you get to be I think maid is really good.
Why maid?
Because then you can get a score at the end.
For how well
How
you
well
clean.
did you clean the house?
That does give you a reason to open like flip the sheets up and.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Thoroughly explore everything.
I think they said they thought about doing private investigator in the beginning or something, but then with this story it doesn't really work because there's no mystery to solve, really, or there's no criminal mystery. And then the role of Katie as family member, that pretty much gives you a free pass to look through everybody's stuff.
I still feel like it would have been a little more genuine if we were playing as Sam, reminiscing, and it's like telling you things. I don't know, showing you these things and saying what you should feel.
As you're looting the VCRs. The whole point should be you're trying
Ooh.
to loot the VCRs.
Like that. There's a
If you were
cash
reminiscing,
minigame.
though, you would have to remember people, and then they'd have to incorporate people into the game. I don't know. I think it'd make it more complicated.
I also wouldn't have thought they'd commit suicide. So it would have taken away from me.
Maybe you don't know you're Sam until you look in the mirror in the attic.
What if
Which
this
isn't
was
fair.
a game about becoming a transgendered person? So you're a guy the whole time, reading the story about a girl, but that's you.
I don't think that would make sense.
Eh.
I don't see what
Nick,
you mean.
you saying the only mirror in the house is in the attic above the table where the diary is.
That's where they keep it. That's the mirror room.
They dyed their hair, they had to run up to the attic Yeah, hair dye splattered throughout on the floor.
Does it look good? I don't know. It's terrible. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
So it's a trail of blood leading up to the attic. Looks perfect.
Perfect.
I'm into it. Ship it.
Anybody have any closing thoughts, or should we shut it down?
I'm done.
All right.
wrap.
We played a game and we talked about it. Now the video's over.
This is the yet unnamed video game podcast group
Project.
Video
project
Well,
extravaganza.
Project Blog.
Project Ball. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, if anyone did.
Yeah.
No,
If
you're
you
just talking to
you
yourself.
have any
You're
comments
talking to
or
yourself.
concerns about our speech today, please let us know. Yes.
All right, I'm going to end the broadcast now.
Bye, friends.
Bye.
Let's all wave.
Bye.
I had to make sure I was waving in frame. It's very important.
If your wave rate is